Hey everybody, Ben here. Thanks for clicking on the video. Thanks for showing up for yourself each and every day. I will connect here and we'll see what comes through and then pull some cards. If it doesn't resonate, don't make it fit. I don't know if I already said that. Crow came through on my first ring, and it went tucked around and started cleansing itself, if you will, grooming. It's a little bit of a throat issue there. What's coming to mind is cleansing the throat chakra, or maybe it's suppressed to an extent. We feel it's suppressed. Finding a way to cleanse it, to groom it, to open it more, to allow it to flow freely, expressed without repercussions, fear of repercussions, allowing the repercussions to fuel you. Crow's making it's squawking a lot, or however you want to call its noise. And don't give a fuck. It's saying what it needs to say. Did I always I think of the Morgan more than anybody when I connect that way with a crow. What do we have here, Spirit? It's very clear, something on the throat. What what are we afraid of? What is it that we're actually going to say? If it's true, what does it matter? Page of Wands. Shot out of the deck sideways. We have recklessness or enthusiasm. There's heavy chills on the idea of, wanting to say something, and we're very enthusiastic about it, but are others going to deem it reckless? Or are we afraid that it's going to create, it's acting recklessly? Let's just, use me as an example here. Putting my face on the map and saying everything I say is, you could look at it as tarnishing your reputation. But at the same time, it is who I am. It's only been suppressed for how long? No one would talk like this. No one, I don't want to say can't comprehend it, but is uninterested in comprehending it, maybe. It's just, you're a quack, you're nuts, whatever. But if we're very enthusiastic about it, be you, Sure, you may get some weird looks depending on what it is, that you want to express or you have to express, even down to like on a basic level of expressing your truth, whether that is your sexual orientation or, that came through the same token on changing your mind. When we change our mind, people are obviously going to have a problem with anything that anybody does. Someone's going to find it and they're going to have a problem with it. You're going to have to become okay with that. But on the same token, it means you're growing, you're evolving. You are seeing a different view, a different perspective, learning things about yourself, healing things. You are expanding. That shouldn't be ridiculed one bit. When we expand, it should be celebrated, yet it is not, because others are being held back by their own demise is coming through. And they want you to stay on their level or not go above their level. So there's going to be resistance, of course. But again, it should be celebrated, but how often is it? What else do we have here? You have the power. And the courage in you came through. Ace of Pentacles, potential. Of course, there's always potential in something. There's huge potential here. It is embodying you, expressing you, however that may be. And again, it doesn't have to be as straightforward here, but if it is, what are you waiting for? It can just be in your daily life, to a partner, to a family, to work, saying what we want to say, not suppressing that anymore. I just did a message that touched on that, and it had to do with, control, to feel safe, out of fear. And when we control what comes out of our mouth, obviously, we are suppressing things. If everybody walked around and said everything that was on their mind, it would be quite an interesting experience. Uh, Granted, there are things that I keep to myself. I keep a lot to myself. But finding a safe place to express ourselves and respecting ourselves is what that message really went into. It is finding that respect in yourselves. But this throat, the ability to speak, could also be suppressed from a very long time ago, or even another lifetime. And finding the ability to regain that, maybe looking into some chakra healing. And it really goes into, I don't know if we want to call it mantras, but humming. There's different vocals that you can actually feel it opening up. Might be something you want to look into. Certain exercises for that as well. It's energy. We're moving it. We're moving that energy. And then you might surprise yourself with what comes out. Maybe you're afraid of taking responsibility for what does come out. That's kind of what's coming to mind is when we get to a place and we start to do that, well, we take ownership. Obviously, we should, no matter what we do. We may go through a period in life where we don't want to, really dealing with the shadow and neglecting that. And a lot of people may go their whole life that way, and that's their path. That's just okay. That's how that is. But if we are evolving and growing, which I would assume anyone watching this is, we're really taking ownership for things. And maybe depending on what we say or what we want to say, we're afraid, how is this going to reflect on me? But when we're really in that true authentic place, it doesn't matter. And I'm not saying doing horrible things or saying horrible things. It is expressing ourselves and being okay and seeing that not everybody's going to understand it, and they're not going to like it, and it's going to trigger them. And that's okay. We're not seeking that validation anymore. Queen of Cups reversed. Self-sacrifice. This is just going back into suppressing ourselves. How much have we suppressed ourselves that we sacrifice ourselves, our truth, our experience for the comfort or enjoyment of others? Keeping the pieces coming through. Naturally, when we do that, we are giving the other what they want. Something's coming through that came through the other day. I can't quite put it together right now. It had to do with, I'll leave it. If it comes back, it comes back. But going back to self-sacrifice and suppressing ourselves, it's coming back again. Let's just look at like an argument in a romantic relationship. And does it ever get to the point that it's going to be understood? Because we have two people here that are arguing their point, and their argument, whatever they're arguing, they are looking for the other person to validate their feelings, their experience. And naturally, in an argument, there's differences. There's two differences. So the only way that that person's going to be satisfied is for the external to validate them. Which, if I was having an argument with you, I would need you to say what I want you to say to make me feel validated, which means you'd have to become my emotions to an extent to see what I see and feel and hear. And that's never going to happen because we're constantly seeking from the external to validate how we're feeling. This is no different than any experience in our life. If I'm complaining about something, I'm looking for my coworker to validate my emotions. Yeah, that sucks. That's bad. That's bad. That's wrong. They shouldn't do that. Why did they do that? They're idiots. Whatever. I'm looking for them to validate my experience. This is no different than in an argument. It's a little deeper there. There's probably some things under the rug that we can't quite see, and we're reacting a certain way, and we're seeking this external validation, this agreeance, this understanding from the other person. And we're not going to get it from them because, one, they're not in our shoes unless they have the ability to do that. And two, we may not even know what it is. We're just acting out on a way. And like I said, it may be under the rug. When we are constantly agreeing or sacrificing ourselves for the other, uh, going back to the relationship, are we ever being heard? Are we ever being seen? Do we need that validation in the external? Do we need them to validate it? Or are we okay knowing the truth? And that's really where that authenticity comes from, standing in your truth. It's not, sometimes when I hear that, it's presented in a way that, uh, like arguing, like I am going to voice it. Maybe it's also not needing to reassure. Yeah. Uh, it's also not needing to over explain, I should say, the other person. Why are you doing this? The need to over explain ourselves to get some sort of validation or understanding, but they're not going to be able to. When we do that, do we actually have any strength inside of ourselves? If we need to over explain our actions, we're seeking their validation to agree with us that, yeah, you were right, or yeah, you made the right decision. When we really look into this, all these types of communication that we do, it's really placed on the external a lot. And I do go into that a bit. And a lot of other messages, or often I should say, just in the general, that pulling away from that need and building it inside is that true place of authenticity. When we do place everything on the external, it's very fragile. If we think about it, who broke us in the first place? The external. Who made the wounds? Who made the trauma? The external. When we when they created it and we put everything out there to save us from our emotions or to validate us from our emotions, why would we put, it's like going back to the abuser. Why would we put uh, this safety or this saving back into the hands of the abuser? So that's where it really comes down to, this place of authenticity is not needing this validation. It is not needing this reassurance. It is trusting ourselves and accepting that, hey, I'm making a decision here, whatever it is, big or small, and I trust myself. I trust the divine spirit, God, our spirit team, whoever you're subscribed to, that's walking you with your path, walking you along your path, and that I'm going to be okay. And I'm making the best decision for me, no matter what that is. And it's going to be fucking amazing. Whether it is shitty at times, I'm going to learn something great. And when I learn that great thing, it's going to propel me forward and, further and further onto this direction, whatever my dreams, goals, or desires are. That was a little off topic, but a lot of good stuff in there. Well, given the time, I'll grab one more here, Spirit. The star, inspiration. These inspirations, whether it is, we can say our mind, we can say our higher self, we can say spirit, they come in crazy ideas sometimes, small ideas, really weird ideas at times. What are we going to do with those? Think about it, research it a little bit, look into it, dream about it a little bit. These are ideas to propel us towards our path or our purpose or, fulfillment in general. And it may be from another life, and it may be something that we're afraid of. Normally, fear has its place. I'm not saying that there are things we shouldn't be afraid of. Granted, something tragic that is affecting our body's ability to, exist, is a normal fear at times when things are like that are taking place. Fear I'm talking about is the fear that holds us back from taking a step into certain things or directions. Fear, failure, rejection, all these things. Again, that is all the external. Granted, some things we do may affect our experience. Uh, but if there's a fear towards something, is it a valid fear? What kind of fear is this? Is it a fear that touches on normal wounds like insecurities or failures or fear of rejection? Then maybe we should go towards that. Because what is that? That is the external. If it is generalized fears like jumping off of a mountain, well, that's a fear that I think is valid.